Chapter 11. King Dushyanta and Shakuntala. Once there lived a great and wise sage by the name Kanva. His ashram was in the heart of a forest on the banks of the river Malini. One hot summer day, Rishi Kanva went to take a dip in the river. He saw a little girl lying all alone on the riverbank. A pack of vultures was sitting around the child with their wings spread out, trying to protect the baby. The sage bent down to see the little girl. She was very beautiful. Kanva gently picked up the baby and took her to the ashram. There, at the ashram, the sage handed over the baby to his sister Gautami. Gautami named the baby Shakuntala. Shakuntala grew up to be a beautiful young woman. All the ashram people loved her. Anasuya and Priyamvada were Shakuntala's best friends and attendants. Shakuntala helped Gautami in her daily work and also watered the plants. One day, Kanva decided to go on a pilgrimage. He called Shakuntala and her companions and told them to take care of the ashram and receive the guests in his absence. One day, the girls were busy in their work. Shakuntala was patting her pet deer in her lap. It was then that she found a handsome young man gazing at her. The stranger asked the girls if they could direct him towards Kanva's ashram. He desired to pay his respects to the great sage. Shakuntala invited the guest to the ashram. She soon realized that the visitor was the great King Dushyanta. Dushyanta was attracted by Shakuntala's charm and beauty. Dushyanta wanted to marry Shakuntala and make her his queen. Shakuntala was unwilling to marry without the consent of Kanva, her foster father. But Dushyanta was not in a position to stay there longer, as it was not known when Kanva was returning. So, Dushyanta and Shakuntala got married, and the king returned to the palace after a few days. Before leaving, the king gave her a ring, which had his name over it. He promised Shakuntala that he would be back soon to take her along. After Dushyanta left, a change came over Shakuntala. The cheerful young woman became quiet and thoughtful. She spent hours in thoughts. Her friends realized that she was thinking about her husband. A few days passed. One day, the most hot-headed sage, Durvasa, paid a visit to the ashram. Shakuntala did not see the sage as she was lost in her thoughts. Durvasa was greatly annoyed, and in his anger, he cursed Shakuntala. The man who has made you forget your duty will himself forget you. He will not remember you even when he sees you. Shakuntala heard this. So did Anasuya and Priyamvada. They fell at Durvasa's feet and begged for forgiveness. At last, Durvasa took pity and said, I cannot take back my curse, but Dushyanta will remember you as soon as he sees the ring he had presented to you. Days passed, but Dushyanta did not come, nor did he send any messenger. Shortly afterwards, Kanva came back. He was very happy to hear of Shakuntala's marriage. Shakuntala was eagerly waiting for Dushyanta's messenger to come and take her, but no one came, and Shakuntala was sad. She now decided to go to the palace of Dushyanta. It was a very long journey. Shakuntala and her servants had to cross several rivers and mountains. On the way, they decided to bathe in a river. Unfortunately, while bathing, Shakuntala lost the ring which the king had given her. The ring was the only proof of their marriage. Besides, Durvasa Muni had told her that the king would remember her only if he saw the ring. So, she and her servants searched for the ring everywhere, but they could not find it. She feared that the king would forget her due to Muni Durvasa's curse. So, she presented herself before the king with a heavy heart. She said to the king, I am Shakuntala, your dear wife, whom you married in the ashram of Kanva Muni. Dushyanta was puzzled. He could not remember that he married any girl in the ashram. Shakuntala tried to remind him of their meeting and their marriage. How could you forget everything? Shakuntala asked with tears in her eyes. Finally, she left the palace. After a few days, the soldiers caught a fisherman who was trying to sell the ring which had Dushyant's name. The fisherman had got the ring when he cut a fish he had caught from the river. The soldiers presented the fisherman and the ring to the king. On seeing the ring, Dushyant remembered everything. His mind was filled with guilt. He wanted to see Shakuntala at once. Messengers were sent everywhere, but nobody could trace Shakuntala. Dushyant spent days in great sorrow. One day, the king was wandering in the mountains. He came across a handsome and brave boy who was playing with a lion cub. The king asked his name. The boy replied, "My name is Sarvadaman. I am the son of King Dushyant." Dushyant came to know that he was his own son and picked him up. He wanted to ask the boy about his mother. Just then, he saw Shakuntala coming. Dushyant told her how he had got the ring and how he remembered everything. Shakuntala forgave the king because she knew that it was not his fault. Dushyant asked Shakuntala and Sarvadaman to return to the palace. Just then, they heard a voice from heaven. It spoke to Dushyant, "Take your faithful wife and your son with you. Your son shall be the greatest ruler of all the times, known as Bharat."